What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 44 of the Hoop Venue podcast. My name is Tyler, and as always, I'm joined by my great friend Sean. We're going to be talking today about the three playoff series in the second round that aren't Wolves-Warriors, because at the time that we're recording this, Wolves and Warriors are about to play Game 2, so when you're listening to this, Game 2 will have already been played, and we'll just get into some weird situations there. We're going to be talking about Knicks, Celtics, Cavs, Pacers, and Thunder Nuggets, who have all played 2 games at this point.
Yep.
Sean, where do you want to start, man? How are you feeling about this? Oh, first of all, actually, before you answer that, can I just say this has been the most unpredictable? Is this the most unpredictable round of basketball in NBA, like in NBA history?
One of them for sure. This is the most fun I've had, like covering or watching a playoffs since. 18 weirdly was really fun for me. Like watching Bron's run, like the final sucked, but watching Bron blow through the East, watching like Warriors Rockets. And I know those are 2 like individual like performances or whatever, but like that playoff run was really fun. Just one of the better playoff runs of my lifetime, at least personally.
I think honestly, I'm looking back. I think 19 was really good too. I think
19 was really good. Oh yeah, Raptors Sixers, Raptors Bucks.
Yeah. Oh,
that Warriors with no KD.
Yeah, I was gonna say Warriors Rockets end of that series, and then the sweep against the Blazers. Blazers Nuggets too was a really crazy 7-game series where McCollum went crazy in Game 7. I think 2020 actually is probably my favorite within this time frame. The bubble, like that was a really fun playoff run for me. And I don't know if it was just like the vibes. Like I feel like the vibes during that time, it's like
Raptors Celtics was such an elite series.
It's almost like a nostalgia thing for me because of how different it was. There's like I look at the bubble and I'm like that's like its own time period, just that 2020 playoff run, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That like has a nostalgia attached to it. But in terms of just the pure basketball being played, I think 2025 easily takes the cake in the last like I don't know how long, like maybe probably I don't even what run? What was the best playoff run of the 2010s? Because I feel like a lot of those LeBron, like the Cavs Warriors years, you kind of knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it made it a little bit less interesting. Like 2016, the Cavs just cakewalk to the final. 2016 was lit though, because Thunder Warriors, then the
low key 2012. Low key.
Yeah, no, you're cooking. Because you get Heat Boston,
Heat Pacers,
Then
you get Spurs Thunder Conference Finals.
Yeah,
you get
I can't remember the West, but I know the West was really competitive before that because you get Thunder Lakers in the first round.
Yep. Yeah, that's the right year.
Then was it Thunder Grizzlies, or was it Mavs?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I just know you're right though. That run was crazy, and the only thing that could have made it a little bit better was Derrick Rose staying healthy.
Yeah,
because that would have made the East insane.
Really, like that whole 3-year kind of run was really good. Because even like the next year, I think you just ran back. No, the next year out west it was Spurs, the Grizzlies, because that's the year Russ got hurt.
Yeah,
but still, like the low key the 3-year stretch of Heat Pacers. Except 14, like it was
14 was 14 was a little weird.
Dude,
the 2013 first round, you get Thunder versus Rockets, and this is the first year of James Harden in Houston.
And this is when Russ gets hurt.
You get Grizzlies Clippers, which was a really good series.
Elite series.
You get the Warriors upsetting the Nuggets when Steph goes nuclear.
Yep.
And then in the second round, you get the Warriors pushing the Spurs to 6.
Steph goes nuts in game 1 of that series.
I can't remember, but I know there's one like 37-point game in there.
San Antonio, yeah.
I
think that's game 1. I think they stole game 1.
Yeah, round 1 you get Knicks Celtics as well.
Yep.
Which was like Melo versus Kevin Garnett, that whole thing.
Is that Melo's only playoff series win as a Knick?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it is. But then in the second round you get Pacers Knicks, which really good series.
Yep.
Melo versus Paul George. You get Heat Bulls, but it's like the Bulls are kind of. I mean, it's a good beef still. It's a good beef. Was 2013 the series where Nazi Muhammad pushed LeBron, and they had there was like a bunch of technical fouls, or was that 2011? I can't remember.
I think that's 13.
Wasn't there? There was a playoff series where there was like an obscene amount of technical fouls on the Bulls, and I feel like it might have. I can't remember if it was 11 or 13. I can't remember. I will say, and then you get the Heat and Pacers going all the way to 7 in 2013. But
Yep.
I will say, 2013 Western Conference Finals, Spurs
I was just about to
Grizzlies,
say that.
terrible series. Just
Only thing that drags that one back.
But the 2013 finals, in my opinion, those are the favorite finals, my favorite finals ever. 2013. I think that was better than 2016.
What's funny is I can recall what I was doing exactly for both Game 7 of 2016 and Game 6 when the Heat were coming back in 13. I know exactly what I was doing for both of those moments.
I just got another 2014 first round. I'm gonna be honest. I did not know.
Is this Clippers Warriors with the Sterling thing?
Yes. So that was a crazy series. I did not know that the Mavericks pushed the Spurs to 7 in the first round this year.
This is the Vince Carter year where he hits the game winner in Game 3, I think, in Dallas.
You're
This
right.
is that year.
You're right. And I remember this team was really good with Monte and Dirk, but I did not know they pushed them to 7. Dirk shot 8% from 3 in this series.
Elite ball nowhere, Sean, right there.
That is crazy. Yeah, but you're cooking right now. You know more about this than I do, and I feel like I'm usually the history guy. You're just cooking me right now. You're giving me a history lesson.
Is this?
This is the Damian Lillard game winner against Houston.
Yep. And then Portland plays. They get shellacked by San Antonio next round, don't they?
Yes, they
Western
do.
Conference Finals is Thunder Spurs. I remember where I was at for Game 5, I think, of this series. Actually,
You also get Thunder Grizzlies, Thunder revenge because Westbrook's healthy now. KD averages 30 and they win in 7.
These West playoffs were elite this year. And then the Spurs
Thunder Clippers in the second round with the comeback in Game 5, down 7, 49 seconds left. But the second round in the East was ugly. It was Heat over Nets, like the Kevin Garnett Nets. And then
Is this a series where Bron, in Game 4, just he dropped his playoff career high up to that point.
Dude, it was when Paul Pierce went to the media and said that he was going to guard LeBron from here on out. And then the next game, LeBron had 49. Yeah, dude. And then it was Pacers over Wizards, which I did not know the Wizards made the second round in 2014.
I was about to say Pacers Hawks because I did not remember who the Pacers played.
2014 Wizards. The starting lineup was John Wall, Bradley Beal, Trevor Ariza, Nene, and Markin Gortat. That's a pretty good team.
That's a solid 2014 starting 5.
You got Drew Gooden and Andre Miller off the bench.
That Pacers in 6.
It was. And then the one that kind of shoots down 2014 is the finals. The finals sucked. It was just a beatdown.
All right, so last thing, what will be your top 3 runs then?
Since when?
Since 2011 or since.
And are we counting 25?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Because what if we get Thunder versus healthy Cavs team and the Thunder just blitz them in the finals?
Yeah, that would suck. Okay. I'm gonna say 2011 was really good too. I think
we're gonna not do that because Braun FC. So,
but am I crazy for thinking it might just be 11, 12, 14? Was that not just a crazy playoff run or stretch of playoff runs?
You have the Dirk run out west, which dominates the story, which is what Mavs Blazers, Mavs Lakers, Mavs Thunder.
Yeah. And then you also have in the East, you get the Heat Bulls series with the Derrick Rose MVP narrative, LeBron guarding D Rose, sending them home in 5. Then you get Heat Celtics
in round 2.
This was the coming out. Oh yeah, you're right. It was Heat Celtics, then Heat Bulls.
Yeah.
The Heat Celtics was the coming out party of Wade and LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
All of those close games that they put away and got the crowd amped. Oh, dude. I get nostalgic about that era. I was such a big Heat LeBron, Heatles fan.
Is this the year, or was it 2010 where 1 through 8 in the West all had 50 wins? I want to say it was 2010 then. Because I think I remember it being a year the Lakers won a title.
I think that might have been 09.
Was it 09? No, this year the Spurs were the 7 seed and they won 50 games.
Let me see. So 09, the 8 seed in the West had 48 wins.
This is elite podcasting, by the way.
Yeah, just talking
about fans will get to you.
8 seed in 2010, 50 win Thunder. Yep, and 7 seed Spurs that at 50 wins. What was the 11? What was 2011?
I just don't remember anything about that 11 Spurs team off the top of my head.
What year did they lose? Didn't they lose as a 1-8 to the Grizzlies one year?
Is
Oh, that
this
was
that
2011.
year?
It was
Okay, this is
2011.
that year. Okay,
They
I'm about
lost
to say
1-8. In 8 seed Grizzlies won 46 games. 9 seed
yeah,
Rockets won 43. I think they were led by Aaron Brooks, the 2011 Rockets.
that's an elite call out. Yeah, I was
Dude,
about to say, like, why am I not remembering the 11 Spurs? Is because I was thinking like playoffs or whatever. I'm like, who did the Thunder beat?
they
The
won
Thunder beat.
61 games and then got Zach Randolph blitzing them in the first round. That's crazy. Yeah, I couldn't even give you a top three. Like, there's been a lot of good playoff runs. All that's to say, like, that this is the type of playoff run we're probably talking about. Like, the years down the line, we're gonna be like, remember that 2025 run? Like, that was crazy. Because I actually am just gonna stand on what I said before the round and say that, like, I didn't have any of these series going 7 games. I didn't even think in 3 of the series that the other team had a serious chance of winning. In 3 of the series. So the first one was Thunder
Pacers
Nuggets.
Cavs. Oh,
It was
okay, that one
well,
too.
yeah, I'm gonna go in a different order. Well,
Okay,
actually, I'm just going in a random order. Thunder Nuggets just came to mind first. There's no methodology behind my order. I'm just
sure.
saying teams. Thunder Nuggets came to mind, and I could see the Nuggets making it competitive just be off the sheer will of the fact that Jokic is the best player in the world and he's doing what he's doing, and the Thunder don't really have an answer for his size inside, which we saw in Game 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the fact that they hit that defensive gear that they did during the 2023 championship run. So when those two things came together, I was like, okay, Nuggets are going to be a tough out no matter what. But realistically, when I was diving into the series, I did not see a pathway where the Thunder lose that series. And that's just where I was at. I picked the Thunder in 5. And then the Nuggets stole Game 1. I mean, what happens in Game 2, we'll talk about too. But they steal Game 1. And then I'm like, maybe I didn't give the Nuggets enough credit because they just executed their game plan extremely well. Pacers Cavs was the other one that I said I could see the Pacers making it super competitive, being a super tough out. If you remember on this podcast, I ranked them as the number 5 contender in the league. Like, I'm high on the Pacers, but I still said ultimately I don't think they have a chance of really beating the Cavs. And then I picked the Cavs in 5. Pacers are up 2-0 right now.
Some
And
injury bail
I was just gonna
is
say that
provided.
I can kind of like back it up because when I made my prediction, I was in under the complete assumption that Garland was only resting in round 1 because they had the Heat handled. I did not think he actually had a serious injury. Like he
Yeah.
missed game 3 and 4, and I just assumed they were being overly cautious because they knew they were going to win that series. And game 1, I expected him to be at full strength. Then we find out his injury is actually way worse than we thought. Then Mobley and Hunter both get hurt. And then they have one of the biggest chokes of all time in game 2. Now we're here 2-0 back to Indiana. I don't even know what to expect in that series. I have no idea if Mobley or Hunter or Garland are playing in game 3. Like I don't know. If this is just the new roster moving forward, the Pacers are going to win this series in 5 or 6 games. Shout out Donovan Mitchell, which we'll talk about this series more in depth. I'm kind of just doing the spark notes. So that was the other one where I thought Pacers had no chance, but you get some injury bail, you get really good performance. Like I don't want to do that. I don't want to discredit the Pacers by just jumping to the injury thing because they played really well on both ends. And then the other one, the one that I definitely thought no chance whatsoever was Celtics
None.
Knicks. None. Like I didn't even think about the series at all. Really, I was like I just chalked in the Celtics in 5, and they blow back. They become the first team in NBA playoff history to blow back-to-back 20-point leads. And the Knicks are up 2-0 with game 3 in New York. Like, they have a chance. They have a really big chance here to take a 3-0 lead. So, all that's to say, I was wrong. I feel like I was pretty wrong. And I that goes into what I'm saying about this being the most unpredictable second round, or just round of playoff basketball I've ever seen. And I love every second of it. I'm glad I'm wrong. Where do you want to start, though? Like, which series do you want to dive into first?
Let's start with the series I think we were both just flat out wrong about, because really quickly going on to the point where not really seeing any team winning. I had the 3 series not named Knicks and Celtics. I had every other series going 6. Basically like saying like, okay, there is a small pathway to victory. I'm not predicting it obviously, but there is a slight chance, right, that like somehow something happens in Pacers Cavs or in Thunder Nuggets or Wolves Warriors. Even though like specifically we're going on Cavs Pacers, even like Cavs fully healthy, the argument, the way that I could like just pretty easily talk myself out of the Pacers winning that series was because, and we had this conversation. It was basically, okay, every single thing the Pacers are really, really good at, when the Cavs are fully healthy, they're just better at all these things. And we'll get to that series in a sec. But let's just start off with like Knicks Celtics. Easily the most like surprising. The other two series have like some surprising things, but none of it has been as surprising as the outcome we've gotten from game 1 and game 2 of Celtics Knicks.
Yeah, I agree, and I think most of the discussion has been everything the Celtics are doing wrong and why they're collapsing. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the deserving discussion from the way they've blown 2 20-point leads. Like, that is what people should be talking about. And it brings me back to, like, remember before the title, that was the talking point with the Celtics. No one would buy into them as real, like, top-tier championship contenders in 22 or 23 or even 24 before the run because of the fact that they were prone to these collapses in fourth quarters or just in like tough playoff, like against tough defenses. We saw it in Golden State in the finals. We saw it against Miami in the 2023 Eastern Conference Finals. And that's why people were so hesitant in 2024 to give them that like all time. It's kind of like, we always bring it back to the Thunder discussion and we're like, everyone's overthinking
the Lakers.
Thunder. No, not the Lakers. Everyone's overthinking the Thunder like they did with the Celtics last year. And this is why. It was because they were prone to these collapses before the 2024 run. And now they're right back to where they started by blowing these leads. And I think that's why the discussion is what it is. But to me, we need to be giving more appreciation to the Knicks' execution as opposed to just the Celtics collapsing. Like, one of the big concerns you and I and most people have had with the Knicks all season long has been they can't defend good teams. And the Knicks have just completely, like, I don't know if it was don't show your cards in the regular season, but they have defended the Celtics in a completely different way than in any quarter of basketball played in the regular season. And they're extremely good at it. And I don't know, like, they're just an elite defensive team right now against a top tier offense that, yes, is shooting themselves in the foot, but they're executing extremely well. And then, of course, once you get into those late game situations, you have the guy who's going to win the game. Like, you're going to win the game. If you are getting stops, you're going to win the game. So, yeah, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with why the Celtics are collapsing or what we think the Knicks are doing to cause those collapses?
Let's start from the Celtics side of things.
Okay, so what are you seeing with the Celtics that you're just like, what are we doing?
I want to start the conversation with Tatum because if we're taking accountability, if we're owning up to our mistakes or whatever. On the last episode of this very podcast, I said Jason Tatum this is why I hate like not really well thought out hot takes. And Tyler caught me off guard immediately.
I caught it.
Right. I'm going to deflect blame onto you. No, all seriousness. I said that Tatum was the most underrated superstar in the league, which there are still certain things that Tatum does that doesn't always get appreciated. But you look at game 1 and game 2, and I'm like, yeah, idiot. This is why it's underrated because Tatum, you're supposed to be the 6'9", slasher first, advantage creator. And we talked about it a lot, even going back to like last title run where he could not hit anything in the playoffs last run. But when we're talking about like who was still the number one, it was still Tatum because from a decision-making standpoint, he was still the guy that on a possession-by-possession basis, it was still Tatum create this advantage for us, and we're going to let Derek, Drew, JB, Kristaps, and Payne and all these other guys play off of that. And they were elite at that. And while I'm on that point, I'm going to bring up something you said off camera. Boston's shooting some awful shots. And what I mean by that, awful compared to their own standards, which has kind of been, Boston's been the example for the 82 games this season and last season to where, okay, cool, we have a good three right here. We have a dominant we have a really good isolation creator. That's a good shot. We're going to live with that. Cool. Instead of living with this good shot, Tatum, break down the defense. Let's get the defense to rotate and move and get into our driving kick, like motion stuff or whatever. Kick out, Drew attacks a closeout. We get another one more pass, etc. Now we go from having a solid shot from our isolation creator to an elite shot to 40% catch and shoot Derek White. 38% catch shoot Jaylen Brown or whatever. And in this series, and even to a certain extent, maybe in that Magic series a little bit, I think the Magic just in general limited their looks entirely. It kind of felt like that Boston is rushing into their shots.
The word. That is the word. Yes.
They're rushing into their threes, which is why I defended their style of play for the 82-game season and last season. It was because it's not like it wasn't this. It was a little bit more methodical and more thought out and planned out in terms of, okay, cool, we're going to create this event. We're going to get our switch. We're going to create our advantage. We're going to force you to collapse and overhelp and rotate. If you don't, we just have like 260+% finishers at the rim and 7-footer that can also roam the baseline in Kristaps. But if you do rotate and do your job defensively to cut off the rim, cool. Now we have 5 decision makers off the catch. And in this series, it's been first chance I see the rim, I'm chucking a shot up.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the, oh my gosh, the threes are bad for basketball. No, it's not. This is bad, yes. But like Boston's style in general for 2 years is not the problem. It's now that they've kind of deviated from that and are rushing into their actions and rushing into these shots. And then Tatum just add a tweet because there's been a lot of talk on NBA Twitter about Tatum and his status as, one of the guys that are in the conversation for best in the world or this and that, whatever. Jokic, Shea, I'm still going to say Luka, Giannis, fully healthy Embiid, any other player that is in the realm of Tatum, higher or lower, Tatum is easily out of that list the weakest at just consistently just getting to the rim whenever he wants. Like, you cannot be in that conversation and not be able to consistently, when I need to. The shot has been broke as hell for 2 games straight, and in game 1, it was really bad, where he just he's just spamming the pull-up jumper button as a counter, where just give the Knicks other opportunities to go score and chip into the lead even more, where, okay, cool, leads cut down from 20 to 12. All right, we have to get the best shot possible, and for game 1 and game 2, your best player, your best creator, has to be able to get to the rim when it's we need a bucket now. The only time he got to the bucket in the fourth quarter was when Joe Mazzulla called timeout, went full court flat ball screen, and Tatum just blew by everybody.
Yeah.
But Ant can get to the rim almost when he needs to at any time. Hell, Donovan Mitchell, again, Luke.
And I
still probably think Luke is better.
I'd like to point out to that point, too, Tatum in the playoffs is shooting 76% at the rim. So it's like, if you get there, you are scoring.
Yes.
And it's not even, I think a lot of people jump to the conclusion that it's like Tatum is settling or like he needs to just attack the rim. But it really is a functional issue. Like he's pretty stiff. He's not super powerful. Like he's very upper body heavy, I feel like. And it's like he can't create those tight driving lanes in the way that a guy like Shea can, like for example, and he also doesn't have like the change of pace and like bully ball of Luka. So I agree with you. And actually, I pulled up a crazy stat today because I'm working on a Celtics Knicks video.
Oh, that'd be great.
I was looking through some numbers, and what if I told you, like, if I told you this before the playoffs, you would think I'm crazy. We are halfway, or not halfway, but a little bit into the second round now. And Jason Tatum, through these playoffs, is averaging less field goal attempts at the rim than Tyrese Halliburton. In the regular season,
before the playoffs, I would have said you're insane. Yes.
Let me tell you what the regular season split was. Jason Tatum in the regular season per 75 possessions, 4.7 shots at the rim.
Okay.
Tyrese Halliburton
like 2,
1.9.
Okay.
In the playoffs, Tatum has dropped to 4.1, and Halliburton has jumped to 4.2. He's doubled his rim attempts, and that, you know what that is? That is a direct reflection of the fact that when the Pacers need offense, it is always a Halliburton blow-by. Every single time. We saw it against the Cavs. We saw it against the Bucks. When it comes time to get that late-game offense, they are hunting for a switch. Halliburton is getting around his man, and he's either attempting a layup or kicking it out to a shooter. It was the play that sent the game to OT in Game 5 against the Bucks. He got AJ Green, I want to say, or maybe it was Gary Trent. It was Gary Trent. He got Gary Trent, or actually... Yeah, he got Gary Trent on him, blew by him, open dunk. tied the game, sent it to OT.
Yep.
The play before the game winner in game 5, it was AJ Green, blew by him and won, made it a 1-point game.
Yep.
Down 1, final play, gets Giannis, blow by, layup. Same thing in the Cavs. Blow by, layup. Blow by, draws a foul. Final play, threatens the blow by. Now you go to the step back 3, game time. It's about balancing it. And Tatum, to your point, the primary, so the Celtics have been going to a few very specific actions. Like, they're trying to hunt for Brunson. And the Knicks have a very set in stone defensive scheme. It is Brunson's going to hedge, and whoever's chasing Tatum is going to go under. And it's the same thing they did against Cade. It is, Tatum, we're going to give you like a 2-second window to take that pull-up 3 if you want it. And Tatum wants it. He's shooting it every single time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it creates the volatility. Like, I thought when you said Tatum and like everyone in the range with him, I thought the direction you were going to go in is that he has easily the biggest disparity between highs and lows. The volatility is crazy.
That's also probably true.
Because once that pull-up 3 starts falling, you get a 51-point game 7.
Yeah.
Or a 46-point game against the Bucks in 2022 when you're down 3-2. But as soon as it's not falling, you get these 2 games where it's like he just looks bad. It just looks bad. And that's kind of what makes Tatum such an interesting case. And then it loops into the Celtics as a whole, which I'll get to in a sec. But they want Tatum taking that pull-up 3. They're going to hedge, they're going to go under. They want it. Same thing against Jaylen Brown. They're going to hedge and go under. And then if they start to hunt for the bigger guys, they're just going to sag off. Like, I don't know if you caught it, but at the beginning of the 4th quarter of game 1, the Knicks put Cat on Jaylen Brown as the primary matchup. Wasn't a switch. They put Cat on Jaylen Brown, and they were like, look, Jaylen wants to beat his matchup by either blowing by him or going through him. We're going to put Cat on him, and Cat, you can't go through Cat. He's too big. He's going to hold his ground. And then we're going to have Cat sit back like 2 feet. Can't get around him. Now it's Jaylen. If you want to isolate Cat, take that pull-up jumper.
Yeah.
And the Celtics are just playing into their hands. Like, that's what the Knicks want. Shout out Mitchell Robinson holding up. Mitchell Robinson's playing the best defense he's played since, like, the bubble. Or, like, the bubble year. I don't even know. The Knicks weren't in the bubble, but the bubble year, 2020. Switching. He's lost a bunch of weight, you can tell, I feel like. I could be making that up. But compared to last year's playoffs, he just looks way thinner. Way more mobile on the perimeter. He's switching. He's playing high drop. Getting on the glass. Mitchell Robinson looks phenomenal, and he's been like an X factor for them. But even Cat in the high drop, Cat holding up on switches, Brunson executing those hedges, and then Brunson gets on an island with Brown in back-to-back possessions in the 4th quarter of game 2, and
in game 1.
Stonewalls him. Shout out to Brunson. Like, Brunson has legitimately looked like a not negative defender in this series.
Yeah.
Both games, like, doing everything well. And it's a testament to the fact that, like, strength is maybe the most important defensive quality. Because Brunson has no length. He's not super quick laterally. He doesn't have a bunch of defensive technique. It's just straight up, I'm going to sit down and you're not going to go through me. And to be able to do that as a 6'1" guard is a really big deal. It makes you, like, prone to not be hunted as a mismatch. So shout out to Jalen Brunson. Shout out to Josh Hart defending. Shout out to OG's off-ball defense, dude, just everywhere in the gaps. He looks incredible. Mikhail is playing amazing defense on and off the ball. 2 game-winning stops in back-to-back games. And that's why I think, like, we're not giving the Knicks enough credit for executing the hedges to perfection. Switching in a timely manner. And not getting hunted, like not losing those mismatches. They're doing a lot of stuff with like Xing out and just not missing rotations. They're closing out well. And it ends up being like a tale of 2 stories where you have, yes, the Celtics are shooting themselves in the foot. They're settling. They're not getting into multiple actions. But it's like everything the Celtics usually do to create advantages isn't getting advantages because of the Knicks execution. Like, the Celtics have been spamming double drag, and they cannot get an advantage out of double drag. They spam those inverted pick and rolls. They can't get an advantage out of that. They've tried Spain pick and roll, can't get an advantage out of Spain pick and roll. And then it's like maybe they would turn to Porzingis as a post-up option, but he's got this viral illness going on for 2 months and is barely playing and looks like a fraction of himself when he is playing. So now we're back to 2022 Celtics offense. And it's basically like I don't really know, man. I don't really know. I don't even think we need to spend time talking about the other side of things because it's as simple as when you get into those late game situations, they're gonna clear out for Brunson every single play, and he's gonna deliver. I've never seen a player deliver this consistently in the fourth quarter. It's insane.
So when I was talking about Tatum's like using the pull up three as a counter, I had to make sure I get this point up about Brunson. I think you've probably talked about this too. The amount of counters Brunson has as a one-on-one scorer is he probably has the most counter. Yeah, he probably has the most counters as a one-on-one scorer in the league. I think
More than Shea?
I think he has more one-on-one because Shea was the guy I thought of. I think he has more one-on-one like counters than Shea even.
Yeah, those are the two guys though, and then like Luka's probably somewhere in there too.
Luka's probably somewhere in there.
I can't even think of anyone else. Like Donovan Mitchell's got a ton of counters, but not like these guys. Same with like Booker, Devin Booker.
Yeah. In terms of, I mean, we saw it in the Pistons series. We saw it towards the end of game one where it doesn't matter who's like Drew. I thought, by the way, please, I'm glad they went away from it. Like switching Al Horford on the Jalen Brunson, that was just a death sentence at the end of game one. And even like the Brunson is just one of the more complete three-level scorers in the league, and he balances counters in terms of body movement and in terms of using his footwork and manipulating tight space, which I think is like one of the more lesser talked about like elite traits a high-level scorer can have. That's where, again, you kind of get to like your Brunsons and your Sheas in terms of just being able to navigate tight spaces as gracefully as those two guys are able
and never turn the ball over.
Or even like in game two where, you know, again, having a legitimate like post up bag. And I call bullshit, excuse my language, but I call complete BS. He is not 6'2". This man is every inch of 6 foot, and be able to like this is the shot that took the lead, I think, eventually in the fourth, where he's isolating Drew on the right side of the floor, and it's like two bumps, and then like reverse pivots into a fadeaway or whatever. I'm like, dog, the level of counters are just stuff. He perfectly uses his bag almost better than any other player in the NBA. Yeah. And because like you see all the like trainers or just players in general, like, all right, look, I got this in my bag. You know, Brunson like maximizes everything in his bag better than almost anybody in the league. And when you're this guy that has these counters that are so hard to prepare for, and you have everything in your arsenal, that's how you get these situations in late game, you know, closeout situations where, okay, cool, you want to like think I'm going snatch into a pull up, cool. It doesn't matter. I have the counter for when you try to cut me off, or vice versa. And having that player in these situations, like you said, just keep it within 5. And yeah, I feel great if I'm a Knicks fan.
It really is that simple. Like it's so crazy to me because you look at clutch situations, specifically like those like last 2 minutes or whatever, and it's usually the most volatile thing in the world where it's like one game a player is unconscious as a clutch shooter, next game it's just like those 3 or 4 shots just rim out, and it's the type of thing where it's such a small sample size that over time it averages out, and then it's like you could see who's a good fourth quarter player and who's struggling in those situations. Brunson, it's like literally he delivers literally every single time. Like there's no volatility. The fourth quarter starts and he just immediately becomes like the best offensive player ever for the next 12 minutes. And it's
Respect
every game.
Halliburton, Mr. 10 for 11 on game winner.
Halliburton. We'll talk about Halliburton. And Brunson, like I saw a crazy like list today. I was talking about it on Twitter. It was the last 6 Knicks playoff games have all been decided within 3 points. Yeah. And they're 5-1 in those games.
The only loss is game 5 of the Pistons series? Yeah. And that's the game where he gets hurt.
Jalen Brunson wins you games down the stretch. Like it's really that simple. And if we do get a Knicks Pacers conference finals, watching those two teams battle in the clutch would be crazy because they're both like, it's like when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force because both of them are just destroying teams in the clutch. Okay, now we got to get to the tough part. Knicks are up 2-0. How's the rest of the series look? Do you think they pull it off?
Um, I don't know. I think it goes 7.
Yeah. So here's where I'm at. I think, dude, I hate like doing this whole like if they win game 3, yeah, obviously if they win they're up 3-0.
They're up 3-0.
If they win game 3, they're winning the series. Obviously, so I here's kind of my thing. The Knicks are executing extremely well. And through 2 games, I'd say they've looked like the better team overall. But the Celtics in game 1 looked like the considerably better team for the first 30 minutes. And then in game 2, they looked like the considerably better team for the first 35, 34 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's just those like isolated stretches where they just collapse while the Knicks execute. And I feel like the Celtics just have to string together 48 minutes of good basketball, and they still have an overwhelming advantage.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm like, I don't know who. I'm kind of leaning. I'm like 50-50. I'm so on the fence between who I think is going to win the series. Because like the Knicks obviously have all the momentum and have this overwhelming advantage being up 2-0 going back to New York. But I also still look at the Celtics through those first 3 quarters or 2.5 quarters, or whatever you want to call it. And like when both teams are functioning in the way they want to be functioning, the Celtics still are the better basketball team to me. And one other point I want to bring up is people were like so upset about them attempting 63s in game 1. And I think that's a lot, but I don't actually care how many. I don't care if you take 75 threes. I don't care if you take 33s. Show me what those threes are. That's all I care about. Because I'm like, if you were just getting a catch and shoot corner 3 every time for 60, that is phenomenal offense. But if it's 60, oh, I just got hedged. Now I'm going to pull up from 30 feet, pull up threes. Then I'm like, let's try and steer away from those. And when watching game 1 and game 2 of the Celtics, I'm like, I see both. I see a little bit of both. Like you said, they're very rushed, and I think that especially stood out in game 1. Like there was 2 plays in particular that I think of from game 1, where one of them is Derek White catches the ball in the slot, and the guy that's closing out to him trips. And instead of driving the tripping closeout, he takes like a deep wing 3. And then Drew Holiday grabs an offensive rebound, dribbles deep into the corner, and shoots a 3 from like behind the backboard with a full shot clock. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing? That's just like, I don't know what we're doing. That's terrible. There was also the other play I'm thinking of is the Celtics ran a down screen for Jaylen Brown with Brunson's man. So Jaylen Brown was coming off a down screen from Brunson's man, and I think Cat was on Brown. So Cat got stuck on the screen, and Brunson had to jump out to Brown on a switch. Like there's like 12 seconds on the shot clock. Instead of waiting for the switch to materialize and then clearing out for Brown to attack Brunson, he just takes a contested 3 right off the catch, off the pin down. And I'm like, Jaylen Brown, you're not a movement shooter, dude. Wait for the switch and then isolate. So there's a lot of that going on. But like just specifically the 63-point attempts thing, does everyone forget that on opening night against New York this season, they attempted 61 threes and made 48% of them and won by 30? Like, there is a pathway to attempting 60, and that's brings me back to the point. Not only is Tatum the most volatile superstar in the league, the Celtics are the most volatile all-time great team in NBA history, and I don't even think it's close. Like, I think you can put their highs, their ceiling, up there with, like, the peak Warriors. Because when all of the threes are hitting, when you're attempting 63s and you're hitting, you're not winning that game against them. But they're also the only all-time great team that can go down 3-0 to the Heat in 2023 or go down 2-0 to these Knicks. Like, it's so all over the place, and I think that's what makes it tough to see them repeating. Because you have to have shooting luck on your side again and again and again. Whereas I feel like they're a team that's always going to be hanging around and always be a top-tier contender, but more has to go right for them than a team like the Thunder, for example. Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel.
Going back to game 1 really quickly, the Thunder had 33 catch and shoot opportunities. So they had 33, like it could have been catch and shoot 2, catch and shoot 3. We're just going to assume all these are catch and shoot 3s. And I know when we go to the pull up part, like I know they didn't take 36 pull up threes, but they took 36 pull up jumpers in game one. Like that's absurd.
Yeah.
Taking
I think
36
you said
pull
the
up.
Thunder. That you're talking about the Celtics, right?
I'm talking about the Celtics. My bad. If I
It
said
might have been in my
OKC,
head. I might have made that up. I think you said Thunder. I knew you were talking about Celtics, but in my head there was Thunder. I could just be tweaking out.
nah.
One more thing I wanted to say about the Celtics because I forgot what my point was. I kind of went on a tangent about the threes. My point was when you take that many threes, there's luck involved. Sometimes the shots are falling, sometimes they aren't. In games 1 and 2, they weren't. Which means at some point in this series, here's the problem with relying on the shooting variance though. Over 7 games, you are going to have hot shooting games in there. The problem is the timing. If they have another cold game in game 3, they have a very strong chance of going down 3-0. But if they get the hot shooting game in game 3, then they're down 2-1. If they get their second hot shooting game in game 4, now it's 2-2. So it's all about the timing of the hot shooting games. It's like they're like rolling a die when they play playoff basketball. It's so interesting. Like we've never seen a team like this. I think it's so fascinating. It's just so cool to me how like I see why it's so frustrating for people where it's like, what are you doing? But also we're not talking about this right now. If they just shoot 40% from 3 in games 1 and 2, we're just not talking about this at all. Yeah. It's not a talking point.
I actually am scared to make a pick on the series because like for some of the shooting variant stuff that we've talked about, I will say this though, if it goes back, especially if it's like 3-2 New York, and I don't know who it was, but they made a point on Twitter. If it goes back 3-2 to New York in the Garden, that Billy's gonna be rocking for Game 6. Close out Game 6.
Yeah.
Well,
think about how it's gonna be not tomorrow.
Tonight.
Saturday. No.
Oh, it's Saturday. Tomorrow. Yeah, so tomorrow at the time of this being released.
Oh yeah. I'm tweaking. It's Saturday.
It's Friday.
Yeah. I always forget because we upload on night. We record at night and then upload in the morning. And it throws me off my timing. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go. I'm still gonna lean Celtics in 6 or 7.
I think the Celtics win. I think it's 7.
But with full credit to the Knicks, like I really want to hammer it home that like what the Knicks are doing right now, they're executing extremely well, and I feel like that should be the talk. Like give them credit because you and I both thought they had no chance. They got blown out.
I made a tweet mid-game of Game 1 saying that Boston might sweep.
I remember. I saw that. I saw it getting clowned. Actually, that's what I saw. You were getting cooked. But so the Celtics blow the Knicks out in 3 of their 4 regular season meetings. Go 4-0. They have every advantage. We've talked about how the Knicks are kind of just like a worse version of the Celtics. Not really. I think the one thing we kind of didn't consider is when you get into these volatile situations, Brunson has an extremely high floor. And I feel like we both kind of overlooked that. Like we acknowledge it, but we didn't think about it in the grand scheme of the Knicks having that as an advantage over the Celtics. So
because we've talked about that in the past, comparing Brunson to like other creators around the league.
Right, like as his floor. And I think another team we kind of missed the mark on with that is Pacers because we kind of viewed them as a worse version of the Cavs. And obviously there's the injury stuff going on. But one thing that I want to say is that the Pacers, first of all, are moving the ball way better than the Cavs through the first 2 games. And I actually thought that was one of the things that was a wash. Like in the regular season, I was like, these are probably the 2 best ball movement teams, but it's like neck and neck. Like I don't know who I'd prefer. Through the first 2 games, the Pacers have been the better ball movement team. And also, I don't think I considered how much their like neck break pace leads to those late game meltdowns because the other team every time in these fourth quarters is just done.
Yeah.
Like all of this ball movement, all of this pace, you're just constantly running back and forth and closing out. And then by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, Donovan Mitchell's laying on the ground. Donovan Mitchell's laying on the ground trying to get air, man. So, yeah, what are your main thoughts on Cavs Pacers so far?
I had the tweet pulled up with the passing stats, so I'm gonna see if I can really quickly find that again. But through like the 2 games in the series, the Pacers are averaging like I think it was like 100 more passes a game than the Cavs, which is just ridiculous. And there's something aesthetically pleasing watching the Pacers play offense with how fast they play, how unselfish everybody is. It starts with Halliburton as their best player. And then, like, also you get the fact that Andrew Nembhard just turns into an all-star level guard in the playoffs. Aaron Nesmith is a hooper. I love Aaron Nesmith. And yeah, I think honestly, in terms of maybe underrating the Pacers, I just think that if we're specifically talking about game one for a sec, I think I kind of underrated their like defensive. I'm just gonna call it defensive awareness, where I thought that their ability to kind of rotate and scram switch and fix some stuff on the back line was suspect, especially if you look at like the Bucks series or any of the regular season matchups. I was like, yeah, God, they can't rotate at all. And they haven't been put in a lot of those situations so far in this series, but I feel like it's so far in this series, any time where the Pacers have had to X out on the backside or, you know, have a weak side rim protector rotate over at the appropriate time. I feel like they've been able to do that. And I think they've also been able to like pick and choose their spots as well, when we're going to play in the gaps and crowd Donovan Mitchell. But also like still have good closeouts, and especially again, if we're looking at game one, I thought they did a really, really good job. And then to your point, like there's something to like legitimately something to like just playing so fast to the point where, look, all right, shots aren't falling for us, but like let this be an 8-point game when the fourth quarter starts. You're cooked.
Yeah.
And Halliburton down the stretch. I do remember talking about this on the last episode about Halliburton as an isolation scorer in the playoffs, because he has been a really, really good like isolation creator in the playoffs. There's something to it, again, if we're going back to the Brunson discussion really, really quickly, or even Shea, or like guys of this archetype in terms of high volume creators that in Halliburton's case is this ultra elite playmaker that's gonna get up the ball, get everybody touches, and we're gonna average 100 more passes literally than the Cavs. Or you have these ultra elite and efficient isolation scores in Brunson or Shea, and Brunson still classifies as a really good passer, and we'll get to Shea in a sec. But like it's so valuable to just know, again, like the value of like getting a good shot. And that's why like Halliburton down the stretch in these close games has been so elite, because he has the ability to still blow by you. He has the pull up 3-point shooting ability, like you saw at the end of game 2. And by the way, he's still like over the playoffs has not shot the ball particularly well from 3. I think he's up to 30% now from 3 in the playoffs.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't even know what it is on pull up threes so far. Probably not much better. But just having that guy, again, similar to the discussion with Brunson, like down the stretch in close games. Yeah, Halliburton's shooting 26% on pull-up threes in the playoffs. But having that guy as your offensive engine in the fourth quarter when they're starting to tire out, and he's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm just going to get to my spots. And he had, 9 points heading into the fourth? I think it might have been 8 points heading into the fourth, and then he has, 11 points in the fourth.
Yeah.
Is able to close out game 2. So, it's hard picking this series still, because if I guess update on like Garland, Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter is that they all participated in practice or walkthrough for heading into game 3, but like Kenny Atkins said, it was just shoot around basically. So they all touched the ball, all got reps, but they didn't do anything live. They're kind of just hoping for the best with those 3. So that's not the most optimistic thing in the world. But let's just say they all, and hopefully this does come out to be the case, but they all come back game 3. All right, my thoughts on the series are a little bit different, because I might have texted you this. The immediate thought I had after game 1 was, God, they need Garland back.
Yes.
It's because they just have nobody else not named Donovan Mitchell that can push pace.
And that's the thing, because the Pacers like to do that full court press with Nembhard on the main creator. And what the Pacers did against the Cavs is they're like, okay, we're going to put Nembhard and Mitchell, and then we're also going to have Nesmith full court press your second guard. And it's like they need Garland to initiate the offense in that situation, and they just don't have that guy. And I think people are overlooking how big of a loss that is for their offense.
Yeah.
Having Darius Garland. And then that boosts their defense, because if you're getting good offense, you're not turning the ball over as much. You're not getting long rebound. Like, then the Pacers can't kill you with pace as much. They're still going to push, but it's not as extreme if you're getting better offense and things of that nature. I think I really want to go back to that point you had about like the reliability of guys who don't turn the ball over being your late game offense. I posted a stat earlier on Twitter. This NBA season, 15 players averaged at least 80 touches per game.
I saw that.
And 206 of them averaged less than 2.7 turnovers. Only 3 of them did both. So 80 or more touches per game with less than 2.7 turnovers. Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, and Tyrese Maxey. It is not a coincidence. Shout out Maxey. Actually, I want to make a point on Maxey in a sec, but it's not a coincidence that Halliburton and Brunson are 2 of the guys that are just putting away these impossible wins in fourth quarters and leading these comeback charges, because you're going to get a shot every time the ball runs through them. So what these teams do is they run all of their late game offense through these guys. In fourth quarters of these playoffs, Tyrese Halliburton is averaging 29 points per 75 and 1.4 turnovers. And that is just right in line with the fact that they're going to hunt for a switch. Halliburton's going to play in isolation, and he's going to win consistently. In fourth quarters, the Pacers have a 128 offensive rating. So it's like, pace. It's so simple. Let's get the ball to Halliburton. Let's let him isolate against a mismatch, and we are going to have all-time world-class offense. And it's just that simple. It's just that easy. It's so easy when you have a guy that you can rely on like that. Like Brunson, same thing. We're going to clear out. He's going to play one-on-one. All we got to do is get him some stops, and he's going to win us this game.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I also love the Pacers, like, during these fourth quarter situations, because they know the other team's tired, they do this, like, super aggressive thing with their defense when they're going to start denying the ball full court. They're going to trap every touch, force errors. They're going to look for offensive fouls, and they just, like, are super, like, there's pests. There's pests on defense. And they execute so well, like to your point, not even just in rotation, but like with the way in sideline out of bounds plays, for example, against sideline out of bounds plays. There was in that Bucks game, the game 5.
Probably the best sideline out of bounds, like inbound defense in the league, basically.
Yeah, they intentionally let the ball get to the corner and then they just swarm and they just force so many errors. They force so many turnovers, because of how like. And also, shout out to Halliburton, who's just defending his ass off now. Is just apparently a good defender at this point. Like he's just defending his butt off. I think, yeah. I don't know what to do. You haven't even had a good Siakam game yet, I feel like.
Yeah. There's 2 more points I want to make. One is about the pace. One's about Kenny Atkinson. Really quickly, I'll start with Kenny Atkinson. Okay. I completely get, like, being a little frustrated and, I said it after game 2, for example, with Thunder Nuggets, because there was a lot of like whining about, the refs in game 2. Respectfully, you guys are losing by 1 billion. Like, okay, cool. Instead of being 1 billion and we're losing by 100. Oh, well. You're still losing by a lot. So I don't want to hear ref stuff. From the Cavs standpoint, I get it. You've had some unfortunate situations lead to injuries for Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter. And it's just been physical in general. The entire playoffs have been physical, man. Like I don't want to like hear physicality stuff in the playoffs, especially where I think like the Cavs also can equally be physical. I just hate that argument of things from Cleveland because okay, cool. Refs can have an impact on the game, but if you are in a clear situation where you should just put the game away, the refs they shouldn't matter. And that's why, like for example, if you are a Celtics fan. Want to talk about the refs, and I'm not saying the refs are good or bad in that series, but you blew 2 20-point leads. That is on you.
Yeah.
Or again, Denver OKC. Denver, you're losing by 50, literally. So, okay, cool. The refs are giving you a more favorable whistle. It's a 22-point game instead of it being a 50-point game. Like, you're still getting your asses kicked. I don't care.
And the same thing happened with Chris Finch after game 1. He said that they were grabbing and holding Rudy Gobert. Like, dude, you're down by 20 to the Warriors without Steph Curry. Win the game.
Win the game. Yeah. Cavs, you're up 7 or up 8 with less than a minute left. Win the game. Don't turn the ball over and give the Pacers. Don't foul Halliburton.
Don't give up a putback dunk off of a free throw.
Don't let Halliburton get his own rebound off of a free throw. Like, complain about the refs after a win and then say that or whatever. I don't know. That's just that's a gripe I have with like NBA coaches is, yes, the refs can be bad, but you should also still win the game and the refs be bad in these particular situations.
I've got, I got.
Go ahead.
Do you have another point?
I have one point about the pace really quickly.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So if we go back to, and this is to my point about really, really needing Garland. We go back to random regular season game against the Pacers. And really quickly, yes, the regular season stuff doesn't matter as much, especially when you get to the playoffs. You had a tweet about how the Celtics have swept the Knicks in the regular season, and they're now losing 2-0, and a bunch of other examples of that as well. In the regular season, in a matchup in January, the Pacers had 45 push ball scenarios off of a missed shot, off a made shot, a turnover, whatever. 45 possessions of those, or instances of that. Less than 1 point per possession. The efficiency doesn't really matter. The Cavs had 39 possessions of this. Great efficiency. Garland played, Mitchell played. They had Mobley and they had Jay all healthy. You go to game 2, the Pacers had 45 push ball possessions in game 2, scored about 1 point per possession, a little bit more than that. The Cavs scored 0.72 points per possession in any situation where they got to push the ball, and they only had 19 possessions in game 2 of this. So, having Garland, the score and the half-court creation is important, but I think having Garland just be able to beat, their full-court pressure, and now that's we have the 3-guard lineups with Ty, Garland, and Donovan Mitchell, where, okay, cool, we still have somebody that can bring the ball to the floor consistently, but they have nobody not named Donovan Mitchell right now that can consistently push pace and cause the Pacers defense to have to react a little bit quicker. And getting Garland back will be huge for the Cavs' chances to win this series. Without Garland, I don't think they could win it.
Yeah, and that was right in line with what I was about to say, because the spotlight has been on Ty Jerome to deliver as filling in for Garland as the second creator, and he's getting the full court pressure from Nesmith. He's getting hounded out of pick and roll, and we're just he just shot 1 for 14 in game 2, and obviously a lot of those shots are shots that he normally makes, he's missing floaters and open threes.
Never misses floaters.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think the Cavs can't win this series without their full team. It's really that simple.
Pacers are that good.
Even if Garland, if Garland comes back, you don't win without Mobley. If Mobley comes back, I don't think you win without Garland. You can probably win without DeAndre Hunter, but you need Mobley and Garland. And we saw, another advantage that gives the Pacers these late game situations is not only are they killing the other team with pace, they're going deeper into their bench. They played 11 players in game 2. And the Cavs had to rely on Javonte Green to play 10 minutes.
Ew.
So, yeah. So, what would be your prediction? I'm going to say Pacers in 6. Just because I'm not expecting the health to turn back in the Cavs' favor.
Not quick enough. So, is it disrespectful to say Pacers in 5?
Not at all. Because they got 2 chances to go up 3-1.
Yeah. Or 3, yeah.
And it also hurts my heart, for the Cavs, because they've been my favorite story all year, my favorite team to watch. And that game 1 playoff crowd was the loudest crowd I've ever heard.
It was stupid.
It was insane. And now you can just tell it's all all of the passion is zapped. If the Cavs win both games in Indiana and go back to game 5 with their full team, we are back.
I really hope that we're able to going into the offseason just fully understand that this Cavs team is really, really good. And they maybe Indiana just somehow pulls this series out. But truthfully, the reason why we got robbed of a full Cavs run potentially is because they were just incredibly banged up.
Yeah, and it's I don't want to say the Pacers couldn't have beaten the Cavs at full strength, because the Pacers are just an extremely good team. Like I said, I had them 5th on my contenders list, and you had them 7th or 8th. You were high on them too. Mm-hmm. At least higher than national media. The national media wasn't even putting them in the top 10 when they were doing the ESPN top 10 contenders and stuff.
Yeah.
I watched some Pacers basketball. Since I think they have a calendar in the calendar year of 2025, they're 40-12. Or something like that. They're insane. They're an insanely good team. So they definitely could have beaten.
Halliburton's been back to
exactly
full strength.
They definitely could have beaten the Cavs, but it's a sour taste in the mouth when I'm thinking about this year from the Cavs, because I look at it and I'm say the Knicks pull off the Boston upset, then you get the Cavs would have been in a position to get to the finals, and obviously they can't just beat the Knicks. I'm not saying that, but They would have been in a position to
Still,
make the finals without having to see Boston. And then the fully healthy Cavs had some unique advantages over the Thunder, like with their size and their pace and things like that. So it does really bother me that we're not going to get to see a full year. Potentially, like they might come back in Game 3 or Game 4, but like I also feel for Donovan Mitchell, dude. Like he did everything he could in Game 2. That was like a superhuman performance.
if everybody gets back in Game 3, I could see this going 7. But like if we're going like past Game 3, then I'm just gonna like take Pacers in 5.
Yeah, well, okay. What if it's? I'm gonna put you in a scenario. What if the Cavs win Game 3, and then it's reported that Mobley, Garland, and Hunter are all gonna be back for Game 5, back in Cleveland?
Oh wait, that's Brunson's celebration. See, Donovan Mitchell just has no aura about him, man. Good God. The best thing about Donovan Mitchell is he's in boxer brief commercials. I forgot the name of the brand.
Had to bring up Skims.
There we go.
Had to bring up Skims.
Okay, then now it gets interesting again.
So you're down 2-1, and you're basically saying, "Get us one more. Just give me one more."
Give me one. Oh, you're saying that and we know we're getting Garland, Mobley, and Hunter back for Game 5?
Yeah.
Okay, well, load up. We're going to 7.
You think so?
Indiana's like losing 4 straight.
Right. Dude, that's crazy to think about. Dude, and it makes it like, how do you lose Game 2? Think about how differently things would look if it was 1-1 right now. How do you lose that?
Because now your mind says, dude, just split. Just split Indiana. Again, same scenario. We get our guys back for a ridiculous crowd in Game 5.
And to be fair, they might not even be ready for Game 5, because I saw someone talking on Twitter earlier about the fact that in Game 5 against the Magic last year, first round, they listed Jared Allen as questionable. And then he was questionable every game until they got eliminated by the Celtics. He didn't play another game. He was questionable every game. And then it came out that he wouldn't have been ready to play for like 3 months. So why are you putting him as questionable? So that might be what's going on right now. They might be like, these players might be done. And they're just like, we're kind of wait and see. Like maybe because they want to like keep the hope factor.
Is that what the Clippers did with Kawhi last year too? Or yeah,
it is. Or was that 2023?
But you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, where they were like, yeah, Kawhi could get back, and then it was like very clear. Or dude, remember when the Knicks brought OG back in Game 7 and he couldn't even walk, and he hit like 2 threes and was like crawling down the court. Why was he in the game? Like there's no way the doctors were like, yeah, he good. He good. OG's running back on defense, halfway bent across the court. Like, what are we doing, man?
It's the most tips thing ever.
It is, dude.
Dude's half dead. Hey, he's breathing.
I don't even remember it being that bad. Like, I remember watching it and being like, oh, this is bad. But every time I see a clip of it now, I'm like, oh, it's so much worse than I thought. Yeah. Like, the guy is genuinely hunched like 5 feet over, like dragging his legs across the court. And it's the first quarter, 2 minutes into the game. The score's 2-2 and he can't run down the court. Why is he in the game?
That's such a rough series because I think literally everybody was hurt for New York.
Yeah,
Brunson was hurt. Josh Hart got hurt in that series.
Can I tell you something?
Okay.
I just opened the NBA app to pull up a box score of the last, like our next discussion, Nuggets Thunder.
Okay.
And the Wolves are up 13-0. 4 minutes into the game. So interesting. All right, we're gonna stay away from the Timberwolves Warriors discussion because I know that throws people off. I've seen some comments where people are like, you're talking about games that already happened. So let's avoid that discussion. Okay, do you have anything you want to add on Pacers Cavs before we move on to the final series?
Cavs, get healthy because this series could be so good. And it has been good, actually, even without the like Garland and one game of Mobley. So get healthy. Injuries suck.
Okay. Thunder Nuggets. Where's your head at?
I had it going 6. And like honestly, again, it just sucks that the Thunder are like the unfortunate like end of like where everybody's just gonna hate on us for like absolutely no reason. Like, God forbid you say a single positive thing about the Oklahoma City Thunder, whether it's their historic defense. I had a tweet in the middle of game one where Caruso was legitimately having one of the best defensive games from a guard in recent memory, if not ever. And I said, like, Alex Caruso is one of, if not the best defensive guard we have ever seen. Keyword, one of. I'm not even fully outright saying.
Don't let them gaslight you. He is absolutely in that discussion. And it's because, like, defensive specialists never get the credit that, like, offensive players who also play defense do. Yeah. Like, there are people that will tell you that Kobe Bryant in 2008 was a better defender than Alex Caruso is right now.
Yeah. And by the way, that's one of the names that I was told.
What are you watching? What are you watching? Like, just because he's also giving you 30 on the other end does not mean he's playing better defense than the guy who's only playing defense, okay? Same thing happens to, like, Gobert and Draymond. Like, they get underrated as defenders because other guys are, like, two-way players. Like, Anthony Davis.
Finding a way to rope Rudy Gobert into the conversation. I'm going to pick you up on something here.
No, but
completely missed the AD point you said. I was focusing on Rudy.
To your point on the Thunder getting hated on for whatever, dude, there was like discourse about Jalen Williams looking at the Gatorade after the game. Who cares, dude?
And okay, legitimately, that was a kind of a bizarre. He's just
I don't know what he's sniffing it. I don't know what he's doing. But like they were like using that as a talking point to say like, oh, he's not taking the playoffs serious.
like dog. Okay, like we care a little too much. If you said anything positive about Shea in the regular season, it's a bunch. It's annoying, like saying anything good about the Thunder because then immediately right after you're gonna get gaslit into like saying what you like your eyes are telling you is true, and into saying, oh no, Joe Schmo from 2014 is better at this or whatever the case may be. And I said all to say because the Thunder, and we've said this I'm sure multiple times, the Thunder have a peak better than anybody since like the peak Warriors. Like when OKC is like firing on all cylinders, which to a certain extent was basically game 2.
It was, yeah.
It was like the 3 ball was falling for, I mean, basically everybody except Lou Dort, who couldn't miss in the second half of game 1. But J-Dub was hitting, Chet was in. Like in general, these guys they were hitting threes, and then they are the most ridiculous defense ever in terms of just their activity and the way they create deflections. They're like the inverse of the Pacers. We're talking about the Pacers and their passing. The Thunder are like historical in terms of how many deflections they're going to generate. Generally, was it 20? Did I see the stat correctly? It's like 25 deflections a game in the playoffs, which is like 7 more than like the leader in any other year or something along those lines. I might have the tweet a little bit misconstrued there, but their activity, the amount of lengthy guards or wings they could throw at opposing teams' best players is just simply unfair. And then you have the conversation post game 1. And in game 1, honestly, and I very, very rarely praise TNT's broadcast, but they made a good point, actually, in talking about game 1 and Denver's comeback, is that basically Denver needed 7 or 8 things consecutively to go their way, and it kind of happened for Denver at the end of game 1. Just a chain of events for Denver. And the conversation after game 1, I think, starts in 2 places. Is Shea, and this goes back to my point from earlier, Shea's ability to pick apart a defense from a standstill as a passer, and then J-Dub and Chet's ability to attack said defense from a standstill off the catch and be able to be that second side creator. And to your video's credit, which go watch, shame plug. I think that's the second shame plug in a row. Are you wearing a HV hoodie?
I'm not wearing an HV shirt today, but that was
okay.
You're doing good. You're promoting the business, man. I appreciate you.
See, okay, yeah. And to the video's credit, like that's been the biggest knock on OKC, the biggest like drawback or like area of concern. If Boston's last year was, gosh, are they going to just collapse in the fourth quarter again? That OKC's is Chet and J-Dub and these other role players that get to show up and be able to attack defenses off the catch and second side action. Because what Denver did in game one was just we're gonna crowd Shea's space, almost force him to be a passer, and then dare these guys to be able to consistently beat us off the catch. And you get J-Dub being 5 for 20. I want to give Chet some bail, and I even asked, like, sort of, is this bail for saying that, like, I think they could. I think they've honestly lost some of the creativity in terms of evolving Chet offensively. Maybe that's like me just missing the mark, but I feel like there's just so much more they can explore with Chet as an offensive player that in some cases it kind of just relegated him being a spot up catch and shoot guy and a catch and finish guy around the rim, which he's still fine at it, but I think you're leaving a lot of the meat and potatoes around and not be able to capitalize on that. Like you're eating like half a steak and 2 potatoes. So you could be eating a full ribeye or a full tomahawk steak, cooked medium rare, depending on how we're feeling.
Medium rare is the best.
Yeah, there we go. With the full plate of potatoes. No, we're getting like we're getting a little taste of it, basically, with Chet as an offensive performer. So those are the biggest talking points specifically out of game one. I'm not going to overreact to even Denver's side, honestly, after getting shellacked in game two. Because I had OKC in 6. I think Jokic is the best player on the planet. He continues to confirm that. And OKC's just the best team in the league.
Yeah, you kind of hit all my talking points. I don't even really have much to add to what you said. Like you said, they were just sitting on the elbows against Shea in game one and just crowding his space. Basically, like kind of like a box and one almost. Yeah. And saying, you other guys are going to have to beat us. And the Nuggets executed extremely well defensively. Like when the ball ran through J-Dub, they just had Jokic drop, and they were like, J-Dub, beat us as a middle-of-the-floor scorer. And he was very rushed. He kept trying to, like, attack the backpedaling Jokic instead of getting to his spots in the mid-range, and just couldn't score anything in the pick and roll. They were also having him drop against Shea quite a bit, and they were also going under screens against Shea quite a bit, and they were like, Shea, we welcome you to take that pull-up three, kind of like Tatum. And Shea, it's not like Tatum, but Shea sometimes goes into a mode where he's going to take a bunch of pull-up threes. And he did that in game one a little bit. So I thought the Nuggets executed well defensively. Then they try to do it again in game two. And you get a better version of J-Dub. You get a better version of Chet. Most importantly, though, you get a guy who scored 34 points on 95% true shooting against essentially a box and one in 3 quarters. And I don't know if there's another player. Like, how many players ever are seeing the coverages that Shea saw in game two and having that performance? It was insane.
This goes back to the point about NBA Twitter just wanting to hate on the Thunder for no reason. We over-index Shea as a playoff performer so much, whereas in the playoffs he's averaging 36 and 7 on like league average efficiency,
right?
58% true shooting.
And
like,
the Grizzlies series was a gimmick. So
the first 2 games was a complete joke, and then games 3 and games 4 he gets 31 and 8 on 52% true shooting, and game 4 he gets 38 and 6 on 64% true shooting.
Yeah.
Like then he gets box and one for essentially for 2 games, 33, 10 and 8, and then 34 and 8 in 3 quarters. Like, come on, man. What other player is getting that like kind of media treatment?
Shea's insane, man. Shea's insane. Yeah.
Now,
I don't really go ahead.
I will say I do think legitimately this is why like the scoring part just doesn't matter. I'm not overanalyzing or over-indexing on Shea as a scorer in the playoffs because that's where the conversation always is. It's, well, Shea's game doesn't translate to the playoffs and all these free throws he takes and
you know what?
He averages 9 free throws a game in the playoffs.
You know what's so weird about it though? Like I feel like NBA Twitter specifically, like they really pick and choose who to do like the points plus true shooting percentage analysis with, because like we all see what Brunson's doing. If you just pulled up his numbers, he's got like a 53% true shooting in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If that was Shea, we'd all be like, man, Shea's a bum. He should have look. Now we're seeing the real
to the playoffs.
Yeah, now we're seeing like, come on, dude.
Or to that same point, we do the same thing with the fouls or the foul baiting or whatever. Because you cannot be the same person as say, oh man, Shea is a foul grifter. Watching Luka, watching Prime Harden, watching healthy Embiid, watching X superstar or whatever, and just like letting it pass. Oh no, that's ethical, brother, or whatever, like BS. When like okay, cool, and there are examples of Shea like yes, being a foul baiter, but a solid 70% of the time is honestly him just like manipulating space and knowing where his defender is going to be at, and then legitimately just using his body to draw contact.
Yeah.
Which, why would I not want my best player to just get easy points every single time down the floor?
People only get mad at it when it works. Like, Jokic does some nasty foul bait. Like,
How about Jokic?
Nasty possessions, and he never gets the call. So, like, people are like, well, it's not the same. It is the same. Shea's just, first of all, Jokic, like, defenders get a lot of leeway with Jokic because he's so big. That's just how it is. Like, LeBron gets hacked all the time. Shaq used to get hacked all the time. Like, they just let bigger guys get hacked. But also, Shea's just better at it. He looks less awkward doing it.
Yeah.
And it's really that simple.
But I was bringing all that to say, like, the scoring is not to what the question about Shea at all. There's some argument about the passing and the playmaking, though, which is, like, clearly the biggest drawback of Shea as an offensive performer. What holds him back from being this just perfect offensive player. Because we talked about the transition scoring. We talked about, like, the half-court isolation ability and the pick-and-roll scoring operation. The fact he doesn't turn the ball over. He isn't this elite, not even elite. Like, he's a perfectly fine passer. But, like, I'm saying that as a knock against him and not like a compliment.
I get
it. Just holds back the team in instances where they are forcing you to be this advantage creator as a passer and set teammates up. Where the best way to describe it, honestly, is like comparing it to a quarterback. The quarterback that like throws to the open man compared to the quarterback that passes you open. And this is not an open throw, but I'm going to make it open and just position the ball where it needs to go. Shea's the quarterback that, look, you are wide open in front of my face. I'm going to throw this 5-yard pass on the check down to you. And there we go. We completed the pass. That is Shea as a passer, which most of the time will be fine. But in these crazy scenarios where the defense wants to get super, super creative and super aggressive, that's the one drawback on Shea as an offensive player.
Yeah, totally. I think, like, when you look at Shea's passing, like, just specifically not the quality, but the archetype, it's a lot more of like the Anthony Edwards type of passing as opposed to the Luka Doncic type of passing, where it's like, I'm going to manipulate the defense
even
and
like
create this window. Yeah, like Brunson's actually probably a way better example. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think Shea is like a good passer. Like, I think he's a legitimately good passer. And I think he can make all types of different passes. It's more so the vision where it's like he also misses. Like, if you slow down, like in real time, it's tough reads. But if you slow things down, you'll see like, oh, Shea should have hit this pocket, and the defense would have had to rotate. But I also think like a lot of those issues are mitigated by the fact that Shea probably forces coverages that no other player in the league forces. Like, the way the Nuggets are defending him, and for him to still go and have an uber efficient 34, like, at a certain point, you just have to like trap him at half court and get the ball out of his hands, and then it's like the passing's moot at that point because all he's got to do is get the ball to the closest guy, and they have to make a play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't feel any differently about the series than I did coming in. I had OKC in 5. I'm kind of like, all right, 5, 6. Like, Nuggets stealing game 1 kind of makes me think maybe they steal another one, so we'll go 6. But yeah, through what we've seen in 2 games, I still think OKC is just comfortably the better team, regardless of how good Jokic is and regardless of how well the supporting cast. Because shout out to Denver supporting cast, they have performed. Specifically like Aaron Gordon and Russell Westbrook too. Those
Russ
two.
too.
But like, yeah, I still think the Thunder are the much deeper team. They've got probably more weapons on offense. Yeah, they're just the better team. It's really that simple.
I don't think either like of Golden State or Minnesota like legitimately gives OKC a shot.
You think? Okay.
Like, I think they're both like 5, maybe 6 game series.
Interesting. Healthy Golden State, I think, would have been like a really weird challenge for them because Golden State, you can't defend Golden State like you defend any other team.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
But also, like, Steph, please get healthy. That's where I want to finish off. Like, that is devastating, man. That's devastating.
They've scored 10 points through 10 minutes.
All right.
Oh,
Draymond hasn't taken a shot yet. He's supposed to be. Dude, he hit 4 threes when he saw Gobert on the other team in game 1. Like, come on, dude. That's the Draymond we're supposed to be seeing. No, but any
Draymond?
Ooh, actually, I want to ask you one more question. Of these three matchups we've talked about today, which one has been the most fun to you, and which one are you most excited for moving forward?
Most fun is still it's still probably, even though like they're not fully healthy, it's still probably Pacers Cavs, honestly. Like the environment
I
that
agree.
Cleveland's had through the first two games has been great, and then seeing like Donovan Mitchell's performance in game two. Like yeah, that'll probably be the most fun I've had so far. Most excited going forward is actually probably Knicks Celtics.
Yep, I'm with you. 2 for 2. Dude, Knicks Celtics, I cannot wait for the next game. And that's crazy because I actually think heading into it, that was the series I was least excited for.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I'm in. I'm fully in. And also, I kind of feel like I do my content a disservice. And like, people listening to this know it's definitely the case. And it's not intentional. I promise it's not intentional. I don't talk about the Knicks and Celtics in videos. I don't know what it is. Like, I actually track this. I track the amount of videos I do for each team every season, just to like make sure I'm giving everyone fair coverage. And I want to talk about some of the remaining playoff teams. I've done 13 OKC videos. I've done 9 Cleveland videos, 9 Minnesota videos, not 8 Denver videos, 8 Golden State videos, 5 Indiana videos, 4 Boston, 3 New York. And like, I don't know, 2 of the New York videos are both just different Brunson videos. I have not talked about the New York Knicks as a team at all. And like, I don't know why. Like, it's not intentional. It's just like, it's timing or something. But that's why I'm like really zoning in. I'm actually taking a gap day on my uploads. I've been uploading every day. I'm taking a gap day on my uploads to ensure that this Knicks Celtics video is perfect. So, best of both worlds.
So we can basically debunk any narratives that you are big market. You're a big market team grifter.
I'm a small market merchant. Actually, that's a lie. My most covered team this season is still the Lakers, and they're not even playing anymore. But that's because
we've made that abundantly clear.
But also, like, they had the craziest trade in NBA history, so they were going to get talked about.
Yeah.
Any team who makes that trade is getting talked about a lot. I also I made 5 Clippers videos.
What's the team you covered the least? Spurs is probably what, Castle, Wemby Fox trade, something like that.
It's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be. There are 4 teams that I did not make a video on this year.
Can I guess them?
Guess them.
Jazz.
Yep.
No shot. Wizards.
Yep.
Hornets.
Yep.
Brooklyn.
Nope. I made a Cam Johnson. I made a Cam Johnson video.
Oh, that's right. You did a Cam Johnson video. You did a Blazers video. It's not Portland.
I did 3 on Portland. It was Donovan Clingan, Tumani Kamara, and Scoot Henderson. Was it Scoot? No, it wasn't Scoot. It was Denny Avdia.
Oh yeah, Denny. You've done a Zion one. Dang. I think I'm just blanking on the East team. It's the East team, isn't it?
It is an East
Philly?
team. The Raptors.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I did Raptors. I did 1 Philly video. It was Jared McCain right before he got hurt.
Oh yeah, McCain's awesome.
Okay.
Shout out Maxey.
Shout out Maxey too. I should have made there's one dude who always comments on my stuff, Maxey video.
I saw it.
It's so funny. Did you see my response to him?
Like, brother, you guys have been eliminated for 3 months.
He said post a Maxey video like a week ago, and I said, bro wants me to break down Maxey's summer vacation. Like what?
Bro wants me to break down Maxey's travel itinerary.
Yeah, bro. Like, let's go to Expedia and look at Tyrese Maxey's analytics. What are we doing, man? Shout out to Tyrese Maxey. You got any last thoughts on round 2 so far?
Injuries suck. That Steph story sucks, like specifically. And yeah, like I hope we get like a to kind of end where we started. I hope we get like the run, like the ending of this, like justifies how good rounds 1 and 2 so far have been.
Yeah, and I agree. And also specifically just the end of round 2, because I had this series, like between the 4 matchups, I had 3 of the matchups ending in 5 games and 1 ending in 6. Yeah. And now I'm at a point where like 4 game 7s are probably in play. I wouldn't predict it, but they're in play. So yeah, I love the NBA playoffs, man. This is the most fun I've had covering it ever. So We really appreciate you guys listening. Make sure to follow Sean on Twitter at Sean_DAVI. Follow him on Instagram at Sean_Davis23. Subscribe to his YouTube channels at the Sports Headline Show and the Los Angeles Lakers Network. If you are watching on YouTube, you can find all of those links in the description. My personal social media accounts are all under Britton_. And of course, my basketball content can be found at Hoop Venue on YouTube. Make sure to go check that out. It'll be much appreciated. We will catch you guys next time for episode number 45, Donovan Mitchell. And yeah, man, hope you guys enjoy the rest of round 2.